Hi DIY doers, I'm Belle and welcome to my workshop. In today's video I'm going to show you how to make a Christmas shadow box using your LOKLik Crafter. So let's dive into it. So materials that you'll need to get started. I have my cutting mats, some paper that's 30 by 30. Then I've got my shadow box frame. I picked this up from Kmart. We're also going to need double-sided foam tape and glue. And also a computer and your LOKLik Crafter. Okay, let's head into Idea Studio and get started.
Okay, so I just clicked on the link that you will find in the description of this video. If you don't have an account with designbundles.net, you can create one. You just need an email and a password. And then you can download this free Christmas shadow box SVG. So we're just going to click download free now. And it's downloaded. Now you need to open up the file wherever it may be on your PC, and you need to click on this zipped file and then press extract all, and then press extract, and then so now we've got two. One's a zip file and one's extracted. So the LOKLik software and most softwares can't read a zipped file, so you need to extract it. So after you've extracted it, you will notice that you've got PNG files, DXF files, and also SVG files. We're just going to be working with the SVG files for today. So you have a file that has one ribbon at the top, or two ribbons, or no ribbons. So you choose which design you want to use. And then after we've done that, let's open up the LOKLik Idea Studio software. Now the first thing we need to do, we've got a new canvas, so we need to upload our newly downloaded design. I'm going to go with the 2-ribbon version, and let's press open. So this is our complete design. Now I want to change the size of this because I am working with a 30 by 30 shadow box, and I want it pretty snugly fit in there. So I'm going to change the measurements to 29 millimeters, or 29 centimeters, but 290 millimeters. So then that should snugly fit into my shadow box. Okay, so this picture looks great and I love it, but I like to customize things. So I want to have Merry Christmas somewhere in here, and I've got a great idea about putting it on these banners. So to start, I'm just going to create a text layer, and we're going to write Merry, and we're going to create another text layer, and we're going to write Christmas. Now to attach these onto here, we're going to need to ungroup this. So we've got this group selected, and we're just going to press ungroup. So now all our layers are there. Now to make it a little bit easier, this red layer is the one that has the ribbons on it. So we're just going to bring that all the way up and put it under our text image. Now I'm just going to hide all these other layers just so I know that I am only working with the layer that I want to, and it's easier for you guys to see what's going on as well. So now we've got our Mary. So now we've got our text layers here, and I'm just going to line these up just so they kind of touch their tippy tops of the red. So we can zoom in a little bit too. So that red and the black is just touching like that. And then we'll do the same for the Christmas. So if you go out to the side of the word just a little bit, you'll notice your cursor changes to a arrow circle. That means you can click and hold and rotate your mouse to align the words how you want. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. So now I'm just going to click on the text Mary, go up to the fill here, click on the eyedropper and make it the same color as the red, and do the exact same with the Christmas text. So click on the fill and eyedrop and make this red. Now they're the same color. I did that because you can get a better idea of where your words are sitting and how it's going to look. But also when we go to unite these, I found that it went black, and then I was a little bit confused what color this was supposed to be. So I just changed the colors right now. Okay, but that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. So then we just click and then drag. So we have a rectangle over the both text layers and the red layer. So now we've got this highlighted, and this highlighted. And then we're going to come up to the combine, and then we're going to press unite. Now the words and the layer is all one layer. So if I pick up the red layer, everything goes with it. Yeah? Now we can unhide all of these layers. And you'll notice we can just see our red layer, right? So what we're going to do is go back to our red layer and then drag it down to where it was. And now that's how our shadow box is going to look like. Now, before I would do anything, I would press save so we can save. That's one I did earlier when I was fiddling around with it. But let's save it as final Christmas shadow box. And we can press save. And now, just in case anything happens, we don't have to do all that designing again. We can just start cutting the project if we want to. Alright, so speaking of cutting, let's start cutting.
So I think the program grouped all the red layers together. So my red layer looks like this when it should actually look like this. So what I'm going to do is, if there's a duplicate color, I'm actually going to change the color to that just slightly so it doesn't cut out on the same sheet. So this layer, the red, and then if you see we've got a red stocking as well. So it actually cut out the red plus the stocking. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back and change the stocking color, and we're just going to change it to a lighter red, just so I know it's still red but it won't cut out with this layer. I think the other layer that got affected was this cream layer, and it cut out to this little bar to go along the bottom as well, and so it actually turned out like that, which is not what we want at all. So I'm just going to change the little bar, change these little bars to different colors. So this little bar I might just make it a little bit darker. And this little bar down the bottom. So they'll print out, or they'll cut out on a separate sheet now. Okay, so the other layer that got affected as well is the brown. It cut out the berries. So I'm just going to change those berries to the same color as the stocking, and then they'll cut out at the same time. I want the berries red anyway. Then I think the rest of the layers are fine. So I'm just going to cut out the layers that I didn't cut out properly. But if you quickly change those colors in your layers, then you should be okay. Okay, so now we've done our design, we are ready to cut. So I have my machine turned on, and we're just going to select the group and then make. Let's connect our device. We're going to use Bluetooth and search. There's our device, and we're going to press connect. Okay, so we want our operation to be cut. We're going to standard cut. We're going to be cutting on a mat, and we're going to be using the 12" by 12" or 30 by 30 mat. Now we can select all the groups at once. Actually, I might just do that. It might be easier because there is a lot. Okay, so we have all our groups selected, where it's all going to be out of paper, so I don't need to change the material type for any of them, any of the layers. So we're going to select cardstock. We're going to stick with default cutting force, and we don't need to mirror. We're going to add to task. Okay, now we have our first one, which is a white. So let's prepare our mat. I'm going to take the protective film off the mat. So we have our first piece here. I'm actually going to use this because the corners up here are nice. And we're just going to line our mat up. We're just going to line my material up with the mat. Get our roller tool. And we're just going to roll that on there. So it is nice and stuck. Okay, so now we've got our mat ready. We're going to come over to our machine. I always hold it a little bit at the back. Just put a little bit of pressure on so it goes in nice. And then we're going to load our mat. Then we're going to come back to Idea Studio and press start. Now our first mat is done. We are going to unload. Now we're going to flip our mat to the other side and then slowly peel our mat away from our paper. That way our paper doesn't get curled. Okay, so Now we go on to our next mat, which is a light grey. So I've got my light grey, same thing, we're going to line it up on our mat. So corners, corners. Roll it down so it's nice and flat. Then we're going to come over to our machine. So get it in those guides, hold a little bit of pressure, press load, and then we're going to start the next project. While this one's cutting, I'm going to get my red mat ready. And unload. Now, while we're waiting for this to cut, we can take this off the mat and put the next layer on. It's always nice to have multiple mats. So we're going to put this mat in. Same thing, line it up with the guides, pressure on the back, load, come over to your LOKLik Idea Studio and then play or start. So I'm going to continue cutting these all out. We've got a bit to do. And then we'll come back when it's all cut. Okay, so the way I normally make shadow boxes is I hide all the layers apart from the very bottom one, and then I start from there. So let's just layer it up. So we got our first layer, then our next layer, then our proper red layer, which looks so much better, then our brown layer, then our cream layer, and then our little fire. Oops. Goes that way. Then we have our yellow piece. Then we'll glue that on there. Then we have our dark brown. Then we have our yellow. Then we have our light green. Then they tell you to do the clock now. I'm going to tell you to glue all these on. Okay, so with that, I might actually take these first couple layers off. I'm just going to keep the cat on to that brown layer, just so I remember to glue that on. Actually, let's just glue it now, hey? Alright, so just lining this part up with the picture. And we'll just set that aside. Okay, I'm just going to set this aside and this one, and I'm going to work on the fire first. So just a little bit of glue. And then lining it up.